Hello fam, it is I, Jenkins, and I'm back. Hey, don't laugh at me. I told you that I would be back, and here I am, and I'm bringing a very special guest this time. This is Newsham, minor player, major qualifying player. We won't get into that. That was some not good stuff. If you want to look that up on your own time, you can look that up, but major qualified player, very good support player, and today we're going to talk about the position 5s that you should play to win pubs. What's up, Newsham?
Hello, I'm doing good. Nice intro.
Thank you. I'm working on that one for a while now. And we'll just get right into it then. S tier, we have Undying, Jakiro, Bane. Undying has gotten good amounts of buffs recently. I think they just changed his ultimate, so it has amplified damage instead of, what did it do before? It was like damage per second or something like that?
I believe it something weird like that.
So now it basically scales.
I think it made your zombies do more damage too or something, but yeah, I don't know.
It did.
I feel like Undying became much less of just a zombie house a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, people kind of know to deal with it now. There's less weird glitchy spots to put it on and stuff, you know? People don't take fights in random spots anymore, I don't think. Like, people just are better at Dota now.
Yeah, I agree. And so, like, he definitely fell off as, like, just that. So adding basically something to make him more than just that is always going to be good, especially because he's so strong at winning lanes. Like, that's always been his number one thing. Like, is there any supports that beat an Undying in lane as a pause for?
I'm not actually sure. He's pretty rough to play against.
He's like,
I wouldn't say so. He's like a Bane level. He wins the lane.
He does.
He can like 1v2, yeah.
And that's actually something I think that all the S tier position
share in common
is that you have Jakiro, who just dumps on people in the lane, spamming dual breath, which it did get nerfed, but it's so minorly, you know? It's like 5 mana at level 1. Is that really a big
I feel
deal?
like one of the biggest things that makes Jakiro so appealing to me is his E is like a very unique ability in Dota, and with the new forts, I think that spell is just like so invaluable.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I never realized for a long time was that at level 1, this ability has 12 burn damage and 5-second duration. So it only scales to double in damage.
Right, and just lower cooldown really is.
Cooldown.
I mean, that's about it. But like using it on the tower, I feel like as a position 4 maybe, which I don't see Jakiro really being played like that.
Yeah.
In like higher games, for example, you rarely have some guy who's free to hit the tower every 4 seconds, you know what I mean? Unless, like, you know, everything's dead. In which case, Jakiro's not even, you know, probably pushing the tower anyway. He's not going to make that much of a difference, so.
Right. Like, the way I see this
hero... a really good value point.
100%. The way I see this hero getting played in the position 5 is, like, suiciding down side lanes, hitting the tower once with liquid fire, so people are like, oh, I gotta defend my tower! And then they come back, and you just leave, and you just go fight somewhere else with your ice path, with your like macro fire.
Plus, like during fort, it's not like you're gonna be getting, you know, a ton of what was it called? Liquid fire.
Liquid fire.
Yeah, you're not gonna be getting a ton of those off anyway, so
yeah,
you know, the cooldown doesn't really matter.
I feel like
probably best for the new fort, honestly, with the cleave on the tier 2s and 3s.
Oh yeah, slowing it down. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jakiro's the way I always argue for Jakiro is that like casters say, like, he checks all the boxes. He like team fights, he lanes, he pushes towers, he counter pushes, he has damage.
And of course he has the stun. That's easily like the most appealing thing to me, at least.
Yeah.
It's like if you had Undying, but he could stun, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
He like wins your lane and then he's stunning you, and he's a ranged hero. So.
Right. Speaking of stuns, probably the most annoying stunning support in the game, maybe barring Rubik, I guess, if he steals Bane stuns.
Yeah, but I guess Rubik's a pause 4 though, right? It's like everyone on pause 4 is stunning and catching things these days.
That's true.
I feel like Bane's the king of catch for position 5. Like if you want to make things happen in a game and you don't have some pause 4 like Rubik or, you know, Tusk or Cluck, some guy's gonna run around the map and kill a bunch of heroes. Bane is like the guy to set up your team to do that.
Yeah.
You have your team like pushing some tower and then you can leave hide in trees and like sleep some guy while they're pushing and they think they're safe.
Dude, I was literally just about to ask you about that. That's always my argument for Bane in this patch. Is it like,
yeah, it's so annoying. It's like you'd never feel safe. Randomly there's some guy who's like sneaking up behind you while you think he's with his team.
With like 10,000 range, and because of the outpost too, I feel like the map is always back and forth between the jungles. So like Bane's the guy that's like, oh, I got this guy. He was a straggler. I caught him. Like, Bane is the hero for that with Nightmare, because it lasts for
plus on plus 5, right? You want to make as much space as you possibly can, because you usually like don't have much items. And I feel like what makes Bane to me really good for like the best players, and if anything, this is like a tip for anyone who's like low rated. If you use grip and you assume you're gonna get it stopped, like you're basically intentionally making them stun you. It's actually better to do that than to stand around and be like, oh, I can't grip them because I'm gonna get stunned. It's actually really nice. Like, getting off a good grip is obviously really value, but just using it to make people use stuff on you is... There's not many heroes in Dota that can, force spells out like that as a pause 5.
But you have
Most
to.
people will just ignore you. Yeah, you have to.
Because it lasts so long, and it does so much that you have no choice but to focus Bane. So if you're not forcing people to focus you, it's nowhere near.
It's like the same idea as like Tombstone. You have to force people to right-click it, right? It's so much value in a group fight. Compared to like Jakiro, it's like, if he stuns already and uses his spells, you can actually just ignore him. He's just running around. What's he gonna do? Right click you?
Liquid fire you. 20 seconds cooldown. Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so those are the broken ones. Those are the really good ones. All really good at laning, good at fighting. They all scale in some way, basically. Just they check all the boxes. And A tier would basically have heroes that are possibly better. For me, A tier is always like ones I'm not 100% sure about. They're like up and comers almost.
For me, what usually makes an A tier hero and not an S tier is they don't really do everything, right? It like depends on what you have on your team, what you're laning with, what you're laning against. I feel like an S tier, you could first phase these heroes and you would never feel bad. Right. But if you're picking Crystal Maiden, and then you're with, I don't know, some guy who's gonna get
or something.
Yeah, right. You're not with like some melee hero, some guy you can like protect and feel good about dying. Because let's be honest, you're picking CM, you're probably gonna die a good amount, and lane you're really slow.
That's true. Speaking of which, just to list off the old A tier heroes here, we got Crystal Maiden, Warlock, Oracle, Winter Wyvern, Snapfire, Phoenix. By the way, let me know if you disagree with any of these, and we can...
The only one I would maybe say is Crystal Maiden, but honestly, I'm not even too sure about it right now. I just know I've talked to people and looking around at all the high-rated games. It seems like she might be rising to S tier. I'm not actually sure.
Where I'm at with her is like usually the way that I make these videos, like do research, Dota 2 Pro Tracker, Dota Buff, watching pubs, a little bit of competitive too, but you have to be careful because there's some stuff that's picked in competitive because it's like flexible and it's first phaseable. Whereas, yeah, so with CM, I basically had CM in like C or D tier, and then she started getting picked a lot and her win rate went up, and I've been kind of unsure I don't want to bump her all the way to the top if that makes sense, but I think that she could be there. That's
exactly how I felt. I mean, looking at your list, my initial reaction was, is she supposed to be there? And then I asked around people, like, what their ideas were on, like, pause 5 tier lists. People like Ike's Mike and other NA players. And a lot of people were actually saying she's like S tier, so...
Yeah, I think...
Who knows?
I think there's also a level of, like, there's trends. Like, sometimes it's kind of fun to play.
Right.
To play a guy that hasn't been in the meta for a while.
Yeah, because he got buffed.
There's that, too. But CM's definitely good. Like, okay, so what do they change about CM? So, I think her nukes in the lane have always been great. Like, Crystal Nova, having the ability to cast 2 of these at level 1 is nice. Freezing Field, self-bonus factor. God, Arcane Aura really gives you a lot. Multiplied by 3, but anyway, Freezing Field giving you so much armor, I think that's been a crazy change on this hero.
Hard. You can't ignore it. Before it was like she would ult and you actually didn't need to always stun her, like Bane we're talking about. You could just kind of hit her, which is really squishy.
She just died in the crossfire in the fights.
Yeah, now it's like you actually have to deal with her or else you have to run away. There's so many times where I'm in a game where the CM felt useless for like the first 20 minutes, then randomly she's level 12 with her rank 2 ult and like a Glimmer Cape. And suddenly we couldn't stop her ult, and it's like, oh, I can stop that. Everyone's trying to run away. It's like, oh, it's fine. And out of nowhere, she gets like 2 or 3 kills. It's like, okay, that wasn't fine.
Yeah. I also feel like a lot of other disables in the game, well, not a lot of them, but like Ember, Searing Chains, like these roots are getting nerfed. And CM Frostbite is one of those roots that's been insane for a long time and just untouched. Like,
right, it's because like her base kit isn't that great. She's not like the fastest hero, but her spells are amazing. Like, it's kind of a meme. I've seen people play CM mid. I'm sure they just randomed it or something. You know, players like Dendi or Thompson or something. But it's actually not that bad. She actually can beat a lot of heroes just because her spells are actually that good.
A lot of damage.
Yeah. People don't expect it.
Anyway, moving on to a kind of crazy hero to be A tier, or even B tier, or C tier, for God's sakes, at this point.
Yeah.
Warlock.
I think what makes Warlock appealing now compared to before is not actually anything to do with his, like, him getting buffed or anything like that. I think it's actually just the game changing, because the game has slowed down a lot because of the way forts and stuff work and how you can't get the outposts until you kill tier 2s. So you're going to have a lot more of these mid to late game group fights than you were before, where sometimes, you know, you'd have Ursa, because let's be honest, it was Ursa and Queen of Pain and Nature's Prophet every game for a while there, just killing your base after they won laning stage. I feel like Warlock now has a place to actually play the game again, so that's cool.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And also, like, with the heroes that are getting picked in the carry position, you have Spectres and Terrorblades and basically these heroes that you can just sit in lane and heal them, and they're totally happy with that. That's their playstyle. They want to just sit there and CS. So,
yeah, they're not trying to get aggressive and kill. They're trying to just farm and not die.
Yeah, and also Midas has been buffed a few times now, and I think Warlock's basically the only position 5. I've seen people do it on Enchantress, but that's more like competitive in a very... It's not really niche, but I would say, like, the fact that it's competitive, this is a team.
It's a little risky. They know what they can get away with.
Exactly.
Right,
100%. They're doing it because they know it's a risk, and I wouldn't necessarily do it in pubs.
And they're like playing for a certain timer, yeah.
Right, exactly, 100%. But I feel like on Warlock, it's a little different. It's less risky, because it's just kind of like you're probably going to be pretty useless outside of warding and pressing your spells in team fights anyway. You know, so it's like,
I mean, usually Midas is good on heroes where it's like your spells are what make you shine, right? Like Phoenix, do you really need item? Like,
you're egging the whole team fight anyway.
Right. Items don't really improve your power in the game. Your spells are what make you strong. So just getting your spells faster with Midas, getting more gold.
Yeah.
Is definitely just the choice. Because, like, you know, anyone can build, I don't know, say you have a Warlock with, like, Blink Hex or something really weird and niche, or, like, a bunch of, you know, Solar Crest, Mech, you know, a bunch of aura items. I could build those items on any hero. You know, you can have Bristleback 5 with those heroes. I wouldn't feel great, but it's going to have the same impact, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But the difference is Warlock has these good spells, so Midas is really nice.
So, moving on, we have Oracle. Oracle, Wyvern, Snapfire, Phoenix. We kind of touched on Phoenix a bit. We'll go to Oracle. He's, like, arguably the best save hero in the game right now. I think Fortress...
Yeah, I think he's just reliable. If you want to play, especially if you're, like, playing with your friends or something and you want to try to, like, two-man the game, you just, like, heal some guy up. He's playing some hyper carry. You can't go wrong. Yeah, you really can't go wrong with him.
And his talents have been buffed. Like, I always look to this. Like, his talents... He has Fortune's End Duration at level 10. He has Purifying Flames cooldown at level 15.
I think they moved his cast range around too or something, right? Or is that Grimstroke?
They may have it. They've really been messing with Oracle's talents for a long time.
Yeah, they're messing with a lot of people's talents to try to make it to where you don't have to fight over talents on, like, you know, 15. They'll, like, spread out one of the good 15 talents to level 10 and whatnot. So.
For the ones that are, like, guaranteed you go for this every time. Now it's like they'll spread it out. But yeah, Oracle, he's got good nukage in the lane. He's good at saving. He's hard to play, but... It's not that hard, but he's hard to learn.
Yeah,
like,
he takes time. You definitely can't just play one game of him and assume you're on a not griefer team with your disarm, but yeah.
Right. Similarly, Wyvern, also very capable of team
griefing. Yeah.
Yeah. With 2 abilities, actually. Winter's Curse and Cold Embrace can grief. But the great thing about Winter's Curse now is that you do damage during your own Winter's Curse. So it's a little bit less likely to grief.
Yeah, I feel like Wyvern's been growing in popularity for a long time now.
Yeah.
It's just really nice for defending towers and group fights. Nothing too special, honestly. Wyvern's just really good at pushing things out. Good laner.
Yeah, good laner, good at pushing things out, good physical against physical. So if there's like a TB or Legion or somebody on the enemy team, you can use the Cold Embrace. I feel like there's very rarely going to be a game where you're like, oh, I can't Cold Embrace because, like, it's, you know, Ember Gyro on the enemy team. Like, there's always going to be one physical damage guy where you can actually use Cold Embrace and save from that guy. Usually. Otherwise, like, if it was a full physical damage meta, Slardars and TAs and everything, maybe Wyvern would be S tier. But for now, we're A tier. Snapfire.
Definitely.
I think the little Shredder armor reduction thing is really cool. I'm a huge fan of this.
You know, I actually haven't seen it much, but I do know some people are picking it. Like, I've seen Husky and a few others in NA. I don't know. I've never really...
attack speed too now by 100.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty cool. Only for
I know her laning definitely much better now. Sunfire is weird for me. I've actually never played it, so I can't really comment.
I think I've played like four games with it. I think I've lost all of them. So maybe not the best two people to give tips on
right. Well, I've played a lot of Rubik and I've stolen her spells and they always feel good, so
that's
I don't know. That tells me something about the hero, you know?
Right. Every time I hook this grandma on Pudge, she's always killing me, so like it's not feeling too good. I think she's pretty good. Her ultimate's great for team fighting. It's one of the highest damage ultimates of the game. Little Shredder. It actually works on towers, so the minus armor is really cool there. Fire Snap Cookie, obviously one of the best stuns and escapes in the game. And then Scatter Blast is just great for trading, and it's a good nuke. Like she checks a lot of the boxes. The only thing that she's really missing is like.
I think her laning's a bit of a question mark sometimes.
Yeah,
it's not like Bane where you guaranteed will win the lane. I think there are times where you'll pick Snapfire and you're gonna have to play like this more passive game, almost like a Warlock, where you're just trying to get through the lane. You're not gonna win it.
Right.
But your spells your spells make you want to. You feel like you want to win the lane. You know what I mean? You want to cast your spells and have fun and nuke them and stuff. But it's usually not how it's gonna go.
If you're with some like owning Slark or something, it can feel really good to be a Snapfire and just like cooking them in there. But
or so these right clickers, right?
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Even Spectre is like not that bad. It just depends. Like if you're winning the lane, you'll really win the lane with that hero. Okay, Phoenix. So this is one of the weird ones where I thought it was nerfed. So they changed the Fire Spirit's mana cost from 80 to 120 at level 1. And then they changed Supernova so that it starts at 6 attacks to destroy and then scales to 10 instead of 5 to 11. So it's one hit better in the early game, but one hit worse in the late game. And the win rate actually went up with this change.
That's so weird to me, because when I see those changes, I'm thinking, oh man, I already was losing lane on Phoenix and getting flamed. and now you have no mana. Like how are you? Yeah.
But then, so I had the same thought, and then I looked at the cooldown of Fire Spirits, and it's like, oh wait, 51 second cooldown? I feel like 120 mana every 51 seconds is not that bad.
Not that bad.
That's not that bad. It's one of those things.
The thing about Phoenix, I think, is just like Warlock in the sense that he's this guy where Midas got buffed and games are going to go later, right? So, I don't know. I think he just benefits from that naturally.
Yeah, I agree.
It's one of those ones where on paper it wouldn't sound like he's going to be better right now, but I think if you look at the stats and then you think about it for a little bit, it would make sense.
Right.
Even just playing the hero, I feel like before there was a little bit of pressure. It's like, oh man, I'm Fire Spiriting Ursa, and he's not, he doesn't care. He's still just going to go get a Battle Fury and I'm going to lose the game in 20 minutes. But now, I'm going to put it on Spectre, and then I'm going to lose the game in 60 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I think we hit the nail on the head. At least like that's also my reasoning behind Phoenix when it comes to like why Warlock is good as well. So we'll leave it at that and move on to B, C, and D tier. We'll kind of briefly cover these because there's a lot, and I don't really particularly find like the B, C, and D tier heroes that interesting. I usually find that they're like kind of normal heroes. They're just good, not bad. But anyway, B tier. We have Chen, Nature's Prophet, Vengeful Spirit, TREANT Protector, Keeper of the Light, Ogre, Witch Doctor, Disruptor, and Enchantress. And I know you had some opinions on Chen.
Yeah, so Chen and Enchantress I think are actually potentially S tier or even A tier. It just depends on the player. But I think if we're looking on like an average basis, I think they are pretty mid tier. Like if you're not an expert on these heroes, like people say, oh, I'm a Meepo player, or pretty much if you can't micro and you don't know exactly what you're looking for, I don't think the hero is actually that good.
Yeah.
You basically have to win the lane. You can't not win the lane. If you don't win the lane on Chen or Enchantress, you should not pick the hero, and it just go play Bane pretty much. Like I
feel like your example is really good. Like it's the difference between like a Meepo player and like a Jug player. Everybody can play Jug, but not everybody can play Meepo. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the thing. If you want to learn the hero, I do think there's a lot of value in playing them. But if it's simply just not worth your time, or you don't like microing things, then you definitely want to avoid them. Same with like Nature's Prophet, actually. Speaking of like the A tier heroes.
Yeah. And I actually think this hero's like exclusively a 5 these days because of the changes to the Treant bounty is less now, and then they changed his talents around so that you can't just get all of like the sick core talents. You have to choose between 20% cooldown reduction and 8 armor, which is very unfortunate. So you can't just be that guy that's TPing in with like a Monkey King bar, which by the way got nerfed, and an Orchid, which by the way got nerfed, and a Satanic, which by the way got nerfed. And like all of the things that made this hero a good core got nerfed, and I think that's why his win rate tanked at the start. And then people started playing it as a 5 again, realizing that the gold bounty on the creeps was less. and that you can now, because of that, you can now go the 4 Treant summon talent, and you can be a really annoying 5. Like, I think this hero is actually a decent 5, but once again, probably like A tier. I think it's worse than Chen and Enchantress, but probably A tier if you're good at this hero.
Yeah, he's still pretty annoying to lane against, and if you're good at microing trance, even if you're not good at microing trance, he's just nice to have in lane.
Yeah.
Everyone else in that tier, I didn't think they were that great. I would definitely consider picking the other heroes first, but they're certainly not bad. I think Treant has a notable mention, I suppose. If you have a Phoenix on your team, this hero's value goes up infinitely, like right away.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like probably Spectre. One of the best combos in Dota. Yeah.
Some like heroes to hold the tower, or some heroes to like basically delay the game, because this hero does it better than most heroes in Dota, if not all of them. Or a hero to like combo within a team fight with the
only thing to really be careful about when you pick Treant is that he is a melee hero and he's pretty slow, so you have to like really know your limits.
Yeah. If
you're gonna ruin the lane too hard, then I don't think you should pick him. But yeah, I think his spells are just really strong. You don't really need to have items on Treant. You can just be running around, be a nuisance, heal up towers, make sure you're there for team fights and ult. He's really good. This
is my European pub hero. I play this on like 150 ping, and I just like get in a game with like some Kezu, and I just heal them constantly.
Spam heal them.
Sit in the trees and feed relentlessly. But then they're like, "Good job, Treant. I'm making space." And little do they know. Well, I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. But I'm sitting there playing on like 150 ping, just like, please, please carry me. I need to go to sleep. Not good. Vengeful Spirit. We talked about this one beforehand a little bit. It's kind of a really good noob hero. Like it's just really easy to be useful on a hero with a good stun, with minus armor, with a good aura. And then again, I suppose like swap can be.
You can kind of grief.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think for the most part, you can kind of just press all your buttons on Venge, and you'll find that you're gonna have good impact. Like most people I've ever taught how to play Dota who have never touched a MOBA, I actually make them play Venge because it's like a good hero concept to learn, of like a targeted stun and stuff, you know? It's just a good hero.
It is. And the great thing is, like, when you die, you're still alive, which is really cool for a position 5 or off lane, which is why I think those are the 2 major roles that she's been playing recently. Okay, Keeper of the Light. I had this hero really high rated a couple of weeks before, and the reason I dropped it down in the list is because I think that the other heroes that are being paired with Caudle are not being picked in every game now. You know, you have a lot of like Spectres and Terrorblades in the lane. Does Spectre care if she can spam her spells? Does Terrorblade care if he can spam his spells? Not really.
Not really.
Not like an Emperor or
feels like PL or something, they kind of fell off a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like these heroes have like fallen off a little bit. Does Slark care if he can spam his spells? I don't think so, dude. No, but you know, if those heroes came back, Caudle would come back, because I think the hero's just good. Like Will-O-Wisp.
The only value I would say Caudle really has right now is he can kind of make stacks pretty easily for his team, so that's nice. And his group fight is good, so.
Yeah, his group fight's really, really good.
He's certainly not a bad hero,
Definitely,
but again, that's why he's in B. He's good, he's not bad.
Ogre, to me, is just like a crappier Bane Undying. You just sit in the lane and get hit.
I don't think much even needs to be said about Ogre. His kit's super simple. He's just like a worse Bane right now.
He has a stun, a nuke, and then a steroid. He's like a pretty typical hero. Witch Doctor. The reason I think this hero, I thought this hero was really bad for a long time, but I didn't realize Maledict goes through BKB if you get it on before BKB, because it can't be dispelled. And magic damage goes through BKB now. It just prevents magic damage from being put on you, which is weird, but it makes Maledict really insane, because if you stun somebody and you do a bunch of damage to them, even if they BKB, they die, which is kind of crazy.
I think Witch Doctor is a very like solo oriented 5. I don't think he's very like team based, if that makes sense. Like he can be, but most people right now are just playing with like this max Maledict, like I'm gonna make it so you can't lane, and I'm gonna randomly find solo pickoffs by myself hiding in trees, like level 6.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're not doing that on Witch Doctor, you're probably better off picking a better hero. Yeah. If you're not trying to find these like, I don't know, sneaky little solo pickoff plays.
Right. So I would say that like Maledict is probably his best ability. Death Ward does decent damage. Voodoo's okay. It's a heal. And then Cask is, in most games, Cask is not the greatest of stuns, to be honest.
It's not. It's really not.
It's not that good. Disruptor, very standard hero. He did just get a talent change where he got 1.5 second static storm at level 15, which is kind of cool. But you're trading cast range for that.
Yeah. I feel like Disruptor, I don't know. He's just the same hero he's always been. You pick him if you really want to glimpse people, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess Thunderstrike's better than it used to be, but I don't know. I don't think he's that.
He's not the best lane trader is the thing. He's really good against status resist guys because Kinetic Fields and Static Storm doesn't care about status resist, so that's pretty cool. But
yeah, I suppose that's cool.
Decent hero. Enchantress, we already kind of touched on this with Chen. It's basically the same thing. You like
it's basically Chen, honestly.
You win with creeps. That's kind of it, and then you scale with impetus, kind of. Okay, C tier, we'll quickly cover these ones. Shadow Demon, Shadow Shaman, Ancient Apparition, Lich. D tier, Lion, Grimstroke, Silencer, Dazzle, Wind Ranger. Interrupt me if you want to take it.
I think the easiest way to summarize these heroes is like they probably feel better as a 4 for some of them, and then the other ones are just not that good right now.
Yeah, like
Windrunner, Lion, Shadow Demon, Grim, I feel like would just be better off as a 4 most of the time. I think AA in the right game is definitely like
regen guys.
You can bump him up like 1 or 2. Yeah, if he's versus like Alchemist or Huskar.
Right. Niche.
Besides that, I don't know. I don't like these heroes. I think they're just out of the meta right now. I think for whatever reason, you know, just bad stats or.
Yeah. I think like Lich, for example, is just not super useful in like the super late game where it's always going to get to now. Like 30-40 minutes, Lich can kind of start falling off and feeling useless. Whereas like something like Warlock or Winter Wyvern or Bane with Fiend's Grip, like basically all of these heroes are stronger than Lich at that point. And then Lich can feed in the lane too. The thing with a lot of lanes right now is that often like the 5 needs to be the one running in and taking damage. And Lich doesn't do that. Lich sits behind the core while the core runs in and takes the damage and Lich does the damage. But that's the opposite of kind of what people are playing around right now.
Yeah.
Silencer, I always hate this hero because like he has this scaling Glaives of Wisdom thing, but he's a 5, so like do you go carry items? It's just so weird. Like
yeah, I feel like he's like the ultimate pub stomper. He either looks really good and he's like literally carrying as a support, or he's just in the game to press global.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wind Ranger should be a 4, Lion probably a 4, Grimstroke, you need to communicate with the guy that you're bubbling, and that's not going to happen in pub. Shadow Shaman should be a 4, he costs way too much mana and has way too long cooldowns and scales way too well to not be a 4. Shadow Demon probably should be a 4 too, he needs a lot of levels. He just feels bad right now for some reason. Pudge Techies,
yeah.
Position 5. Honestly, I'm just going to take Techies off here, he's not position 5. You know what, Pudge isn't either, but so many people pick it, and here's the thing, it's grief your team tier. Because I think everybody that picks it as a position 5 already knows that they're griefing their team.
Yeah, I think low-key they're just picking it just because, but it's so popular that you have to like acknowledge that it exists, sadly.
Yes.
Because some people are probably thinking, oh, maybe it's actually, no. If someone's really good at Pudge, they're gonna make it look good in any game, but it doesn't make the hero good. The hero's bad. Don't do it.
Hard to do these days. Very hard to do, even with the buffs that Ice Frog, with air quotes there, by the way. You can't see my camera, Newsham, but I did air quotes because those really weren't buffs. Thanks for that, Ice Frog, by the way. I'm running out of patience, by the way. I have the League of Legends sign-up page favorited, okay? On my Internet Explorer 7.2 edition. I have it favorited, and I'm going to click that soon, okay? Anyway, that's it for this video. That's the position 5 tier list. Let us know in the comments what you think we underrated or overrated. Maybe we underrated Pudge. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you, and we hope to see you in another video.